For more than 35 years, FAIR has been front and center, a prominent, credible, and sought-after voice leading America's call to reduce immigration. While immigration has and can be a positive force for the nation, sometimes you can just get too much of anything. Providing expertise since 1979, FAIR is engaged in the daily business of shaping and guiding our nation's immigration policy.
Every single person on the planet Earth, if he gets into this country, can stay indefinitely by saying two magic words: political asylum. You say political asylum, you get a work card, and you get an indefinite right to stay until the Immigration Service gets around to hearing your claim.
Well, because the first thing that we all understand is that illegal immigration isn't inevitable, and it is not necessary. And the first and most important step is to simply enforce the laws on the books.
Well, look, the first priority of Congress should be to undo the damage that the Obama administration has done. From day one, it has gutted immigration enforcement. And I would argue that Congress has no business giving amnesty to anyone until it repairs that damage.
From preventing the overcrowding of America through immigration limits, to pushing back against unwise ideas that could set off a tidal wave of uncontrolled movements across our borders, FAIR is engaged and hard at work each and every day. FAIR appears regularly in just about every major news network and publication. As your advocate for a sensible future, FAIR weighs in the major debates of the day. FAIR has the expertise and depth for real change. From the legislative battles of the 1980s,
immigration, but our legal immigration system until recent, right now, Jim, is like an entitlement system. It's growing every year. So what this legislation does is put a ceiling on immigration at 425,000.
To the first trade center attacks in 1993.
You don't have political control over who's coming in. There are three basic questions here in immigration policy: how many you're going to admit each year, who they are, and how you enforce the rules. As you guys showed at the airports, seaports, land, the United States has lost control of the entire process.
To the noted case of Elián González from Cuba in the late 1990s.
Taken the child into custody and, on the demand of a natural father, had the child deported back home, even at our taxpayers' expense. They didn't do it in this case for one simple reason: politics.
And the challenges facing student visa controls in the wake of the devastating September 11 Trade Center attacks. FAIR was pushing for reforms.
They all had driver's licenses, and they didn't do this because they enjoyed spending time at the DMV. There are no 72 versions that you get for spending time at the DMV. They did it because they understand that it's important to have this document, that it is your ticket here, it makes you invisible, and ultimately, on the morning of September 11th, they used those documents to board those planes that they turned into weapons of mass destruction.
And today, at a time when the tragic murder of Kate Steinle on San Francisco's wharf illustrates the need to ensure full cooperation between the state or cities and federal immigration law enforcement, FAIR is there, leading the calls for true state-federal enforcement cooperation, so we can end illegal immigration once and for all. Throughout the nation, there are now calls for reform, and FAIR will push for tougher border enforcement, full cooperation between agencies, reductions in overall immigration, and an end to foreign worker practices that cost Americans jobs. We promise to keep striving to make immigration once again work better. First for Americans, and first for America.